Crystal Faulkner with the CPA and Business Advisory firm of Cooney, Faulkner and Stevens. We're here today with David Joyce. David's the President and the Chief Executive Officer of GE Aviation, and he's the chair of this year's United Way campaign. David, you are the CEO of one of the largest divisions of General Electric. You oversee 39,000 employees all over the world, but yet you are taking the time out of your very busy schedule to chair this year's United Way campaign. Why does that make good business sense for you and for GE and really for our entire community?
It's a good question, Crystal. Citizenship is a big part of the values that GE really not only professes but lives in every one of the communities. And we think citizenship includes not only philanthropy but includes volunteerism, as well as bringing technology and many of the GE products into opportunities in which we can help. So it was really a pretty simple decision for me to get engaged in United Way. And it wasn't that I started running a campaign as my first act with United Way. I've been engaged on the board of United Way for 2 terms, and I ran the campaign in GE for part of my career. So it's been a labor of love for quite a few years. And I got to tell you, running the campaign here in town, I follow some phenomenal business leaders that have done this before me. So there's a real history of business leaders running the campaign here in Cincinnati.
Well, and you mentioned that the business leaders have been typically the chairs of the campaign, so that would make you perceive that there is a real business economic benefit from the United Way campaign here to our region.
It sure is. The thing that drives me with United Way is just how effective the investment is. And really, it's the value proposition of United Way. United Way has 6 bold goals, which really are focused on making this a great community to live in and work in. And those bold goals will only happen by 2020 if we invest. And the investment is very effective. And, you know, as a business leader, it's great for me to talk about this community when I go out and recruit. So when I'm trying to get the best and brightest engineers and commercial leaders into GE, being able to talk about how philanthropic Cincinnati is a terrific selling point.
We are philanthropic. We're what, the number 6th United Way campaign in the world?
So the goal this year is $61 million. We're the number 6 campaign. Now think about it. We're far from 6 in terms of the size of the population, but we are number 6 in terms of absolute dollars raised in the United States. Our leadership giving is the largest in the world. So the Tocqueville Society here in Cincinnati is more philanthropic than any other city in the world, not just in the United States.
So David, if people would like more information about the United Way, they can just go to the website, figure out how they can get involved from there?
Yep, uwgc.org. And what I ask is just make a real informed decision. Take the time to look at the website, look at the great work United Way is doing in this community, and please find a way to help.
Well, David, thank you so much for being my guest and for everything you're doing in the community.
Thank you.
We're going to continue our conversation with David Joyce, CEO of GE Aviation, on wcpo.com/businesswise. So, David, you mentioned the bold goals. Let's go in a little more detail about what those bold goals are and how we're making progress on those.
So the United Way, about 8 years ago, realized that in order to be a very effective agency, rather than just simply be the united voice of many agencies, it needed to really discuss what outcomes we were trying to drive the community towards. And bold goals became that dialogue. So there are bold goals around income, health, and education. 6 goals, very simple, and I'll give you one for example. 85% of the kids being tested ready for kindergarten by 2020. Sounds like a simple goal. Today in Cincinnati Public Schools, that number is 56%. 6 years ago, that number was 43%. So we're making progress towards an 85% goal. However, we're far from being there. Now, if the kids don't test ready, cognitively ready for kindergarten, the probability of passing 3rd grade reading is even more remote. And the probability of graduating from 8th grade and being prepared for high school is even more remote. And the interventions become tougher and tougher. So you're going to pay. You're going to pay through the intervention, or you're going to pay up front in an investment in a community that can get kids ready for kindergarten and put them on the right trajectory early in life.
And you're referring to this as an investment, because I absolutely agree with you. It is an investment in our future, in the next generation of citizens, business leaders, and so forth. And from purely a monetary standpoint, if, as you mentioned, if we don't make the investment today, there are statistics that show, aren't there, that organizations that run
You bet.
prisons
You bet.
locate them where they have a low reading skill at the age of 4th grade.
Yeah, the bottom line is that you really can look at United Way and have the discussion with yourself about the value proposition of your investment in a community where the quality of life is important. And Cincinnati is a very giving community. I mean, if, like we talked about on the air, you know, 6th largest campaign, absolute dollars, largest Tocqueville Society in the world. This community gives back, not only through the civic leaders, but everyone does. And we should all be thankful for how committed the citizens of Cincinnati are in the greater Cincinnati area. However, there's a lot of need. There really is. And the value proposition of United Way being to align all the various agencies and make sure that the outcome is greater than the sum of the parts through that alignment is one of the most efficient and effective ways for our money to go into this community and end up with a result of a higher quality of the community. And therefore, for all of us, really aspire to live in a community that does more for its citizens.
And it does seem to me that the United Way focuses primarily on children. The Success by 6, there's so many different programs. And if people haven't really become familiar with all of those programs, there are, on the website, the United Way website, they can determine where they would like to get engaged as well, correct? If
Exactly.
if there's passions that they have.
Right. We have education, health, and income. Children are a big focus. There's also a large focus on employment here in the Cincinnati community, so matching training programs with the job needs in the community. We're engaged as GE. We're one of many, many companies that works with the United Way and through the agencies to make sure, and with the school system, to make sure that the education programs really understand what our demand is moving forward. So I'll tell you, uwgc.org, it's a great website. It really does speak for itself relative to the investment and the value proposition United Way, and I'd highly recommend for people to go there and make a real informed decision about helping their community this year.
Well, David, thank you again for being my guest and for everything you're doing in our community.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Crystal.